Some kindness arrives quietly. No announcement, no big moment, just a gentle knock on the door when you least expect it. I didn't know it then, but the warm cup of tea my older neighbor brought me every morning was leading to something much bigger, something that would change how I see people, loss, and what it truly means to care. Before the story begins, if you enjoy heartfelt stories about real emotions, real people, and the quiet power of kindness, make sure to subscribe to your channel name. Like this video if it touches your heart, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your stories matter here. I moved into that small rental house at one of the lowest points of my life. It was a simple place. White siding, a small porch, and a creaky front step that complained every time I walked on it. I had chosen it because it was cheap and close to work. Mostly, though, I chose it because I didn't want to be around people. I was tired of explaining my sadness. A few months earlier, my marriage had ended. No dramatic fight, no cheating, just two people who slowly stopped being able to save each other. When my ex packed the last box and closed the door, the house felt too big and too quiet. That's when I left. On my second morning in the new place, I heard a soft knock around 7 a.m. I opened the door, still half asleep, and there she was, my neighbor. She looked to be in her late 70s, maybe early 80s, short silver hair neatly combed back, a cardigan buttoned all the way up, and in her hands, a tray with a mug of tea. "Good morning," she said with a gentle smile. "I'm Margaret. I live next door. I thought you might like some tea." I didn't know what to say. I hadn't spoken to anyone outside of work in weeks. "Oh, thank you," I managed. "You didn't have to." She waved her hand like I'd said something silly. I know I didn't. That's why I did. That made me smile for the first time in days. From that morning on, it became routine. Every weekday, around the same time, Margaret would knock. Sometimes she brought chamomile, sometimes black tea with honey. Once, when it was especially cold, she brought hot chocolate instead. We never talked much at first. Just a few words, a smile, a "have a good day." But slowly the silence between us grew comfortable. One morning she noticed the dark circles under my eyes. "You're not sleeping well," she said, not as a question. I shrugged. "Guess not." She nodded like she understood everything without me having to explain. "Tea helps. Not with sleep," she added, smiling, "but with feeling less alone." That sentence stayed with me. Weeks passed, then months. Sometimes she stayed for a few minutes on the porch. She told me about her garden, about the roses her late husband used to take care of, about how the neighborhood used to be full of kids riding bikes until sunset. I told her about my job, about how strange it felt to start over in my 30s, about how quiet the house felt at night. She never tried to fix anything. She just listened. One morning, I noticed something different. No knock. I checked the time. 7:20 a.m. Maybe she was late. At 7:30, I felt a strange heaviness in my chest. I walked outside and looked next door. Her curtains were still drawn. That was unusual. I told myself not to overthink it. She was older. Maybe she slept in. But by the next morning, still no knock. I walked over and gently knocked on her door. No answer. I tried again, a little louder. Still nothing. That's when fear set in. I called out her name. Nothing. I stepped back, unsure of what to do. I didn't want to overreact, but my gut told me something wasn't right. I called the non-emergency number and explained the situation. When the paramedics arrived, they were kind but professional. One of them gently asked me how long it had been since I last saw her. 2 days ago, I said. She always brings me tea. They exchanged a look. I stood on my porch, hands shaking, as they went inside her house. A few minutes later, one of them came out and walked toward me slowly. "I'm sorry," he said softly. She passed away peacefully in her sleep. I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. I barely knew her, and yet, my chest hurt like I'd lost family. That night, the house felt quieter than ever. The next morning, out of habit, I woke up at 7 a.m. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the door. No knock came. I made my own tea for the first time in months. It didn't taste the same. A week later, I found an envelope taped to my door. My name was written on it in careful handwriting. Inside was a letter. It read, "Dear neighbor, if you are reading this, then I suppose I am no longer bringing you tea. I wanted to do something kind before I left this world, because kindness is the only thing that ever made my life feel full. I noticed your sadness the first day you moved in. I recognized it because I've worn it myself. After my husband passed, tea was the only thing that made my mornings feel normal. I thought maybe it could do the same for you. Please know that you were never a burden. You gave me a reason to wake up early. You gave my days purpose. There is something else I want you to have." At the bottom of the letter was a key taped carefully. On the back she had written, "Garden Shed." I walked into her backyard later that day. The garden was quiet, but beautiful. Roses still bloomed. The shed sat in the corner, small and white. I unlocked it. Inside were shelves filled with neatly packed boxes, photos, journals, and on a table in the center, a small wooden box. Inside that box was a handwritten note. "I have left my tea set to you, not because it is valuable, but because it carries warmth. Please use it for others when they need it." Tears blurred my vision. Margaret hadn't just brought me tea, she had given me connection, purpose, and a reminder that even small acts can leave deep marks. That winter, I started inviting people over, co-workers, a neighbor down the street who lived alone, a friend going through a divorce. I served tea in Margaret's cups, and every time I poured it, I felt her kindness moving forward. I realized something important. Kindness doesn't end when people leave us. It continues when we choose to pass it on. Margaret changed my life without ever trying to. She showed me that sometimes the smallest gestures, like a warm cup of tea, can save someone in ways we never see. So if you're wondering whether your kindness matters, let me tell you this: it does. You might never know how deeply it touches someone, but one day, they might open a door, see an empty porch, and realize you were the reason they felt less alone. And that kind of legacy is more powerful than anything else we leave behind. If this story moved you, share it with someone who might need a reminder that kindness still exists. And don't forget to subscribe to your channel name for more stories that warm the heart. Because sometimes all it takes is one cup of tea to change a life.